What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm the games adjuster Ethan Rodriguez, and today we are talking about the 1 to 6 player game of Bend, or in English, Finishing Time. So this is a game by 2F Games, Friedemann, Friese, the designer, and it is a pretty unique theme. It's basically about uh, players are workers who work at a factory and they're trying to leave the factory to get relaxation, and the person who can get the most relaxation is going to be the winner. So let me show you how it plays. Let me show you how I store it away, and then we'll come back here and I'll give you some final thoughts. So here we go. Okay, so here we have set up the game of Finishing Time, or Feierabend in German. And so there's quite a few boards here that are you're going to see. You've got the leisure board, the amusement board, the vacation board. This is actually a promo tile here that came with the game when I ordered it off of the BGG website. We've got the relaxation board up here that will be tracking basically our points. And then we've got the home board with the union board underneath here. Okay. Also, we've got set up here a few players. So we've got a 3-player setup game here, and here we've got the components for those. So the first player is going to be this red player here. They start with 6 workers. Everybody gets 4 strike tokens. And the 3-player game, the first player is going to get 4 coins. Second player gets 4 coins also, but 7 workers. And then the third player is going to get all 7 workers and 5 coins. Again, everybody gets 4 strike tokens. The 7th worker for the red player is actually going to be up here. You'll see him here just on this board right there. All right, and he's at home. And that's pretty much it. For more players, you'll have different determinations on the money, so different ranges there. They'll also have different amount of players to start the game. Also, these boards here come in little puzzle pieces, and they're double-sided. So for a 4 to 6 player game, we would be using this side and this side here, the leisure board, 5 to 6 player. But for our game here, the 3 player game, excuse me, we're gonna just have these set up just the way they are. And that's the same for all of these boards. And even this board here can be flipped from 2, 3, 5 player to 4 and 6 player games. And actually, if you really wanted to in a smaller player count, you could just get rid of the boards you really don't need. So here, if I wanted to, I could just take this piece and this piece off and just kind of have this little slice to use, because the rest is just kind of extra in a smaller player count. But in all 6-player game, which is the max player count, you'll need all the boards. All right, and so that's pretty much the setup. So the game itself is pretty simple. It's really a kind of almost like an economic game where you're balancing how much relaxation money and strike tokens you have and trying to get the most relaxation points when the game ends. So let's talk through a turn and what you might be doing in the game. On your turn, you can either place 1 to 3 workers at home, which is the board up here, or you can place 1 worker optionally with a partner in certain cases in any of these 3 boards here, or you can spend any number of these strike tokens here to improve your working conditions. And there are a variety of ways to do that. So let's first talk about the home board. So the home board is going to be located up here on the top. And basically what this is going to do is allow you to spend the workers, 1 to 3 of them. This is the only board that you can actually spend multiple workers. When you place the workers out, you can set them behind the bar, or in front of the bar rather, spending 1 coin per worker. So here would be 3 coin, and getting 2 relaxation per worker. So if I spent the 3 coin, I would get 6 relaxation and then immediately mark that on this board over here. Next to that is behind the bar. So instead I could optionally put those workers there, and I would gain 2 coins per worker. So I'm working, but I would instead lose relaxation on this track here. So that would be going from -5 to -11. Not good, because I have, worked and I'm not necessarily relaxed after work. Finally, you can just go home. You've had a long day. You don't really want to do anything else. You can send all those workers at home and just get 1 relaxation point per worker. And again, you would just move your track up appropriately. So here on this board, we would go from 5 to -2. All right. Now, That's what you can do on that board. Just below that, we've got here the union board. And so on the union board, you can go and send one worker. So let's say we still had one in our factory. We can place that at either of these two spots here and just collect 3 strike tokens immediately. Down here is where most of the game is going to be spent, and these are the different boards here. So let's talk first about the leisure board right here. The leisure board is free, and there are 3 different levels of leisure that you can partake in. The top one would be going on a motorcycle ride with a partner. Throughout the game, you'll have the opportunity to gain these partner meeples, which are these pink male and female partners that you can give to your workers. And if you have a worker with a partner, they can go together from your factory to one of the available spaces here and get immediately 4 relaxation points. If you don't have a partner, you can go to jogging and just get 3 relaxation points, or even go fishing and get 2 relaxation points. So again, these are the free locations that you'll have available. The other 2 boards are going to cost money to visit. So let's talk about those now, starting with the amusement board. The amusement board is where you can get a partner. So the middle space here is a date. You can spend 2 money to get 1 relaxation, placing your worker in one of the available spaces and immediately adding a partner to them. This partner will be brought back to your factory when you recall your workers. The top space is the amusement park, and you can visit this space here, again, any of the available ones, and spend a varying amount of money to get more relaxation. So for 3 money, you would get 5 relaxation. For 4 money, you would get 7, and for 5 money, you would get 9. If you bring a partner with you, no matter which option you choose, you get another 2 relaxation. And then finally, we've got the motel here, which is the innermost circle. If you bring a partner with you, you have to go there with a partner. The amusement park, you don't have to, it's just optional. But you do need to bring a partner with you, and if you do, you only spend 1 money, but you get 6 relaxation. So a better bang for your buck. All right. And finally, we've got here the relaxation board. I'm sorry, the vacation board. So the vacation board is not really going to be available to your workers when you begin the game. You'll first need to improve how much vacation that you have for your workers. So here, everybody begins the game with 0 weeks of vacation, but through different means, they can improve that from 1 week all the way up to 3 weeks of vacation. So if a player, let's say the red player here, had gotten 1 week of vacation, then when they went to visit this board, they could place their worker into the 1 week space, this inner ring here next to the lake, and pay a coin, and then immediately get 3 relaxation points. If they brought a partner with them, they could spend 2 times the ring amount. So here would be 1 times 2, 2 coins to get 2 times the relaxation, or 6 relaxation points. And again, if you have more weeks of vacation, you can start higher up on this track. All right. So last thing, again, we're going to talk about is improving these different conditions. So here, you'll notice that between the different weeks of vacation is a cost of strike tokens. So these strike tokens can be spent to get your first week is 4, get your second week is 5, and to get your third week would be 3 strike tokens. So instead of placing a worker, if you have a bunch of strike tokens accumulated, you could spend those to improve your different conditions. That's one of the things you can improve. Up here on the actual relaxation board, at the very top, is the amount of work weeks or work hours per week that you work. So you'll start the game working 70 hours a week, which is pretty stressful, and will reduce the amount of relaxation you have when you go back to work. But you can improve that. So 3 strike tokens would get you to 60, 4 would get you to 50, and so on. As you improve these conditions at certain points, you'll get a bonus. So on the 40 point and the 25 point section, you can either immediately gain a partner or permanently retire one of your workers. That will be important because after you've placed the last of your workers from your factory, you will immediately recall all of your workers. The number of workers that you recall is going to affect how much of the relaxation that you lose. So normally you're going to lose your base amount. So here we would lose 16 relaxation. So all the progress we made maybe in doing all these activities would be reduced. So here at 21, we go all the way down to 5. But if I have workers on vacation, or I have permanently retired some workers, well, then I would reduce that amount for each one on vacation or each one retired. So if I had just one retired, instead of losing 16, I would lose 15. If I had improved my working conditions, maybe I'd only lose 12. Minus the 1 would be 11. So instead of going from 21 to 5, I'm going from 21 down to 10. Much better. Okay, and you can see that there. Now, let's talk about some of these other conditions you can improve. Over here, we've got several different ways to improve your conditions. So first thing you can do is improve the amount of money you'll get when you go back to work. Right now, everybody's going to get 7 money, but if you spend 2, 3, 3, 4, and so on, you would improve this all the way up to $14 every time that you go back to work. Here is the gender gap. So although you're getting this money here, starting with 7, you are immediately losing 2 because of the wage gap due to gender. So if you reduce that down to 0, you'll get the full 7. Until you improve that, you'll be getting the top number minus the bottom number. So here, 7 minus 2, I would only get 5 coins every time I went back to work. Also, when you go back to work, you'll get more strike tokens. So to begin the game, you'll be getting 5 every time you go back to work. And again, that's when all of your workers have gone to all the leisure boards or gone home. You will get all this income. But if you improve this, you can get even up to 8 total strike tokens each time you go back to work. And then again, the vacation board is another thing you can improve. Now, there is a promo item here, and I kind of showed it, and I'll show it again real briefly. This one here, and this is not in the base game, but basically what it is if you don't have any partners in your factory, which is this board where all of your workers will be housed, if you don't have any partners there, you can send a worker onto this board and immediately get 4 relaxation points. All right, and so that's pretty much it. When you go back to work, you will first lose relaxation points on the big board here based on the number that you're out on working hours, less any workers you have retired or on vacation. Then you will collect income, less the gender gap, collect your strike tokens, and then you will also advance the vacation board. Since you're getting the discount from these workers being unavailable, once they have been accounted for and given you your relaxation deficit bonus kind of, so instead of losing 16 right now, I'd only lose 15 if he was here. After you've done that, then you will retrieve that worker and it will go back to your pool. If the worker was higher up on maybe week 2 or week 3 of vacation, they would just slide down after the first ones in front of them slid down too. Now you can never have more than one worker on each row here, so they have to be separate people, but you would advance all the workers in this row first, take them off. These workers would go down to the lake, then the beach workers would go into the mountains, and so on. All right, now that's pretty much the whole game, so it's really just a balancing act of timing the worker placement like traditional worker placements games. Once a spot is taken, it cannot be taken by someone else. And with the lower player count, you're going to have less spaces to visit. Higher player counts, those options will be available to you. In the 2-player game, there is this little token here, which is also used in the solo game. And what this allows you to do is basically immediately place a second worker, and then you would give this token to your opponent. Also in the solo game is a die that you'll be using to roll and kind of account for the solo player doing automated things based on a chart of priorities and where they visit and what they do and what they strike for maybe, or if they get a partner or what have you. So I think that's pretty well covers it. Each player will just take one of the 3 actions, go on to the next player. The game will end as soon as a player breaches 40 relaxation points. They will continue playing their turns as normal, but when the next player would go back to the factory, then, and that's after they place all their workers, they would get everything like normal, and then they would stop taking actions. They would get one last chance to spend all of their strike tokens as they would need to, and then they stop taking actions. So the game will continue with the other players taking actions until everyone is done and gone back to work. After everyone, each time it gets back to that player who's already out, they will just gain 1 relaxation point. It is possible for the person who ended the game or triggered the end game to not win based on how much relaxation they lost, and for someone else who is still playing to win or even possibly lose if they just could not get enough relaxation points to beat the person who kind of ended the game early or left the game sooner. So there you go. Let me kind of tell you what I think about it, and we'll go back up top to do that. Okay, briefly, I'm going to show you how I pack this game away. Firstly, I love the inside of this box. I like this little relaxing man here, pretty cool. I do like when if you're not going to give me a really neat insert, give me a nice in box kind of insert. This is just a paper, a little well, but still, that's a cool little picture. So, first thing I do is this game does come with the German and the English rulebook. So I put the German one on the very bottom. I pretty much never take that out, along with the solo rules. I've not tried the solo variant. I've seen a few gameplays of it. It does look interesting. It's just not something that I've done yet. And I'll put the regular rules on top of that. Then I'm going to put all of these puzzle piece boards stacked together and sorted by their types of vacation board, amusement boards, leisure boards. Put those all together here on the side, along with these union boards here. And then I've bagged up. I'm a big proponent of bagging player pieces together so that if I'm only playing 2 players, I need to get 2 of these bags out. So I've got all the boards of each individual player color in their own bag, along with their discs and meeples there. So we'll just throw any of those in here, pretty much in any combination, just throwing those in. That's all 6 players. Then I've got the promo location, the solo die, and the 2-player / solo token in a bag together. If I'm playing 3 or more players, I don't need to get that out other than that promo token or location. And then finally, all the resources I've got together. With resources, I typically will put those together because I can simply pour them out and have someone else sort them into piles and then grab them all up and put them back together. No real need to separate those. All right, lastly, we'll put these 2 boards on top. We've got the home board and then the point board here. Stack those together, whichever one you prefer on top. And there you go. That's how you do it. Put it all together. Now let's go up top for those final thoughts. All right, there you go. That's Feierabend, or finishing time. Let's talk about it. We'll start with the theme. I mentioned it in the intro, but it's a really unique theme, a really cool theme. I really actually like it. I like that it's sometimes we want games that we can escape into. And this isn't that, right? Because it's not fantastical. It's pretty real, but in a fun way. It's something I think relatable to everybody, right? We all choose board games as a way to relax, and it's kind of a fun way to do that in a worker placement game. It's like, yeah, we're trying to get relaxation points, and it's thematic in the mechanisms, right? You got to spend money to get a date, and then you and your date can do more fun things than maybe you can do by yourself. Not just, you can't have fun on your own, but that's kind of where that's coming from. You're striking for better conditions, right? There's labor unions all across the nation and in other countries too. And, you kind of have to do that to improve your working conditions and ultimately get more relaxation. So I think the theme is well implemented. It's fun, it's unique. And again, I think it's really well done. As far as the production goes, it's okay. So I really like the artwork. Some of Friedemann Friese's game designs have kind of divisive artwork. Some people really like it. Some people don't. I tend to like it. I think it's just, again, very fun. This guy here on the cover, running out of work in his vacation luau shirt, and the inside insert I showed in the storage, how it got him laying back in a lounge chair. It's just fun. Even the little boards have little people running around or jogging or whatever. It's just fun, cute little artwork. Now, beyond the artwork, I do have a few issues, mainly with just the footprint of this game. It's not a hard game, and it's not really that many components. It's just workers. Everybody has 7 workers, 6 little discs, the partner meeples, coins, strike tokens, and the coins and strike tokens come in denominations of 5s and 1s for each of them. So beyond that, it's just a bunch of boards, and I've never seen any kind of like circular puzzle piece boards before, so it's kind of unique in that way, but also kind of a burden, a little bit of a footprint for the game, because in a two-player game, you really don't need most of those other pieces. And yes, you can take them out, but then you just kind of get stuck with a bunch of pie pieces that don't look as cool as maybe like a nice rectangular board would have been. In a larger player count, it's already enough that each player's got to hop around the table. Now there's a bunch of circles that you kind of have to see around, and depending on where the workers are, you really can't see maybe the spots in the middle that could be blocked by other people because of just not blocked by workers, but more so blocked by vision and where you are on the table. And then I like that the relaxation point board is really big. And that brings me to one quick thing actually I want to mention is, if after you take your workers back to work, if you end up in the very dark red section of the board, I think it's like -19 to -11, then you can't do any of the other boards, vacation, amusement, leisure, until you've gotten out of that zone. So you can only go home either to the pub or to home, just getting 1 point to watch TV. So be aware of that. Sorry I didn't mention that. But yeah, those boards are nice that they're big, but for what you're doing in the game, it kind of feels a little overkill. Maybe just some rectangular boards with some different areas where you could visit, and maybe some tokens just to kind of block them off or something would have been better, instead of flipping those back and forth and having kind of a lot of wasted pieces if you're not playing the full game, and a lot of table footprint, even though your player boards are relatively small. So maybe that's just me. Let me know in the comments what you think on that. But for me, I felt it was a little bit much. Other than that, yeah, I mean, there's no cards. There's just tiles, meeples, tokens. That's the whole game. So rules wise, I think it's really well done. There's a pretty good like explanation of all the symbols on like page 4 maybe. It does a good job just kind of breaking down what they all mean. I basically explained the whole game in that overview. It's not a hard game. It's put a worker out, put them all out, pull them back, get income, then or spend your money. The hardest thing to wrap your mind around is the vacation board, just because you kind of have to move the workers down. And then when you take your workers back, the loss of relaxation associated with that, and the discounts you get from people being on vacation, being retired, that can maybe get a little squirrely the first couple times. But once you get that concept down, it's easy. And yeah, it's just getting into gameplay now. It's a really interesting puzzle, kind of like a tug of war with yourself, because you're trying to go up as far as you can in relaxation, but then you're going to lose a bunch of relaxation and go back down. And you're trying to go back up again, and you maybe don't want to breach that 40 yet unless you're really going to blow past it. So you kind of have to be aware of that and cognizant of that, because that can maybe lose you the game, right? If you barely breach 40 and then you have to pull your workers back right away, and you're going to lose a bunch of that traction or that progress you made. And the next player, maybe they just got their workers back and they're at 37. Now they're going to have a whole bunch of turns to get way past 40, unlike you. So you're only going to be able to take one relaxation basically every turn until the game ends. So you have to be aware of that. And it's a no luck game, other than the initial what player are you? That's it. So I do kind of like that about Friedemann Friese games, very much like Power Grid, other than the initial setup of players, and the power plants that come out. That's the biggest luck factor in Power Plant. There's pretty minimal luck. It's a lot of just you playing the other players and outguessing them and things like that. And this game has that a lot. It's when do I pull my work? Do I need to put my workers out first so I can have my workers available whenever Sally takes her workers back? Or, I need to bide my time a little bit. So right now I'm just going to buy one thing with my strike tokens, and I'll wait again and I'll buy another thing. And now finally they left that spot, so now I'm going to take it. You kind of have to play the other players and, be able to outsmart them and outfox them as far as getting the spaces you want or getting to the spaces they need before they do, so that you can kind of block them out and have them have to stall instead of you. And then you have to just kind of manage that economy again between gaining relaxation points, spending your money to do that, but by also saving enough money that you can maybe buy like a few weeks of vacation once you get your partner, because you can tell pretty obviously what is the best bang for your buck. When you go to the leisure board, you kind of really don't want to go fishing unless it's the last thing you could do, because the other space to go jogging is free and it gives you 3 instead of 1. Same thing with going home. Unless you absolutely have to because you're in that bottom part of the track, I really don't want to be spending workers just going home and watching TV getting 1 point per worker. That's not a good use of your resources. You want to try to get a 1 for 3 ratio, or a 2 for, if you depending on what vacation you took, you can maybe get like 2 for 12, something like that. So with money, of course. So there's that factored in. But yeah, it's just a good little economic. I guess that's the only way I can classify it. It really feels like an economic game because of the no luck factor and the way that you have to manage those resources. Um, as far as the time goes, I think it's a pretty quick game. It's not hard to set up, again, other than the big boards. You can take your turns really quickly, and then I would say, I think the last time we played it was like maybe an hour and a half. On the box it says, oh, let's see if we can find it quickly. Here we go, 55 minutes. Yeah, I mean, maybe an hour and a half was over too much. It probably is 55. I think that's probably a good count, just under an hour. And I don't know what player the count that's at. So I would say maybe a 4-player game. It's hour 15, hour 30 maybe 6 players, an hour 30. But overall, yeah, it's pretty quick. You just kind of zip around the board, taking your turns. And there's a lot of that turn eggs too, because you're like, oh, please, Brandon, can you move out of that spot? Okay, great. I'm going to take the spot. So I really like that. Now, the variety is kind of where I think the biggest ding on this game is going to be. There's really not that many paths to victory, right? You can really focus on the strike tokens and improving your work conditions so that maybe you're not getting a lot of relaxation on the partner's part of the game and getting the partner early and using that with your worker, but instead you're getting less relaxation taken away from you when you go back to work, as opposed to the person who's really utilizing the leisure, amusement, and vacation boards and getting a lot of points, but they're losing like 16 points per round because they're not spending the strike tokens to improve those working hours. Or they're not buying vacation weeks to have people on that and reduce the amount you lose in relaxation on when you go back to work. So that you can kind of play with a little bit. Same thing with the money. Do I go for the free stuff and not really worry about the money, or do I get a bunch of money and start just going to the amusement park often and trying to build up that economy instead of just the strike tokens on the union board? Which one of those do you go with? Yeah, there's a little bit of variety there, but that's pretty much it. I mean, that's really the 3 things. You can go heavy, relaxation, ratio, worker to points, try to get the most there, not really worry about the losses. You can mitigate your losses and just try to keep enough, or you can really go heavy on the money and just keep buying a bunch of relaxation while still losing and stuff. So probably a combination of all 3 of those is the best way to play. But yeah, there's not anything you're not going to see the first time you play. There's no cards. There's no expansions or anything that I'm aware of. I don't think this is even a game that you would expand. I think it's just, this is what it is, and that's fine. But if you're looking for something to have a much different experience every game, I don't know that this is it. So final rating, I'm gonna say a solid 7 out of 10. I really like the theme. I really like that it's simple to get into. It's just, again, a really fun combination of managing this kind of resource economy with also worker placement, but it does have very limited variety, I think. So in the long run, I don't know how many more times our group's going to want to play it, because they've kind of seen everything it has to offer. But I do really like it. So if you're looking at it and think it looks like an interesting maybe theme for you and something unique, I think this is a really good game for that. It's not something I've seen before. Especially even if in its presentation with the boards and being circular and these little puzzle pieces you put together, all that. It's a good quality game. Friedemann does a great job, and this is another one that I really like. Not as good as Power Grid. I really like Power Grid more than this because it's also got the resource management with money, but this is a good one too, and it's different and something that I enjoy having in my collection just because, again, I do love the theme. So there you go. That is Feyerabend, or Finishing Time. Let me know again what you think about it in the comments below. Let me know if there's any other games like this that you've seen that maybe I should check out, or have you seen any other games with a very unique board setup? Other, big circular discs and other worker placement games that you've seen. Share that with me below. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you on the next one.